This guy has played 45 hours of The War Within, and he made a video reviewing it. So I really wanted to take a look at this, guys, because 45 hours playing an alpha with one zone is a lot.
The last 45 hours playing the private alpha
He's
for
called
the War
Quasi,
Within
yeah.
thanks to Blizzard, and this is my honest first impressions and takeaway from the private
Big WoW
alpha
YouTuber.
and Q&A with the WoW development team.
Okay.
The short of it, WoW is back, folks. It really is, and it's bloody gorgeous, and let me explain
WoW
why
is back,
shortly.
baby?
This video is a first impressions review. I'll keep it broad, no deep dives into dungeon mechanics or boss designs. If you're into those details, live on this YouTube channel are already 6 other videos that cover literally everything you need to know from the War Within Alpha. They cover namely all 8 dungeons coming into Mythic Plus in the new expansion, preview of the brand new raid in the Rubar Palace, a full tour of the new capital city Donegal, everything you need to know about Delves, the brand new feature coming in the expansion, and a complete playthrough of 2 separate dungeons, Cinderbrew Meadery and the Rookery. All these videos are neatly organized in a playlist linked in the video description and pinned comments below. So let's start, and let me talk about why the War Within signals a glorious comeback for retail WoW.
I will say we do say that every. Listen, man, us WoW players, man. Okay, we never stop. Okay, every single year. I know this for myself. I come back and I'm like, God damn, this is so sick. But that's because every expansion is always good at first, right? Whether it has more oomph and more like actual good, content gets shown down the line. But I will say, from what I've experienced so far on the alpha, it does look pretty interesting. It's still retail WoW, so if you don't like retail WoW, it might not be back for you, right? But, if you're into what the current WoW is, you're probably gonna really like it.
Let's start with warbands. This is the new
This
feature
is cool.
that stole the show at BlizzCon.
I love
the
this.
loudest cheers were reserved for this. In essence, warband simply means account-wide progression for almost everything. It's clear
I think
why
it's good.
it's the top of my highlight from the alpha. Blizzard has made a monumental shift in their philosophy towards making progress shared across your entire account, across all of your characters.
It's good.
And they told us behind closed doors during a press conference that starting in the War Within, this is a philosophy they're adopting for the future. And from the moment
I'm excited for him to talk about the Delves, because for me, that's something that's like really, really big for me, man. I just love how this looks like Diablo.
into the alpha, it's clear. Blizzard means business. The warband login screen greets you. You have your characters gathered around a fireside, pets included if your class uses them, a really nice touch. But gone are the days of a singular character with a major city as your backdrop. WoW is here to embrace you playing multiple characters easily, and is more than just a login visual treat. Eon Hazikostas explained that Warband is set to redefine gameplay, emphasizing almost universal account-wide benefits everywhere. This means easier farming for transmogs, gearing for your ults where you can send gears from your main, and a general easing of previous restriction. This is a big nod to player freedom, letting us decide how we want to have fun in WoW. Gone is the old Blizzard that is seen as the fun police. Gone is the belief you need to slog for your gear, your player power through repeatable and grindable dailies. Cynically,
it seems like only 4 characters per warband, only warband. I just think it's great, right? Because, I mean, let's be honest, as he said, nobody really plays one character anymore. Like, there's so few people that actually do that. So having that progression being shared amongst the classes that you do play, like warrior, rogue, shaman, the best 3 classes in the game, whatever you play, right? It's just having that being shared, I think is great. I think it's really good.
He's seen as many of us who took a break in Shadowlands as a cheap way to boost playtime metrics.
I only play one character. Honestly, one character, Andes, I respect you, okay? And in the current WoW, like, retail, whatever, I actually kind of just play my warrior as well. I'm not that big on alts there, but yeah, I think it is.
Private Alpha was a clear indicator that the old ways are gone. And we saw this with the drops and vendor rewards in the Alpha build. Account-wide is here to stay. And in the Private Alpha, the Warband feature even lets you track the same quest progress across different characters. During a closed-door interview, the dev team shared with us creators that the Warband is not just a new feature, but a major overhaul in terms of how they manage player data. Traditionally, while player data was character-specific, requiring substantial effort to make anything account-wide from the development team. Now, with the groundwork laid by the Warband system, achievements, reputation gains, and gear rewards are by default account-wide. without additional work from the dev team. As a player who enjoys switching between classes and specs and ults for Mythic Plus, the warband implementation in the alpha is what really excites me. While it's becoming more alt-friendly than ever, we're not all able to grind endlessly for power anymore in our adult life, and it's comforting to know I can enjoy all my classes at a high level without the tedious grind that I used to be required to do. Next up is Delves, and I will admit...
Delves? Dude, I hope I don't get burned on this, but I really hope that it turns out to be some sort of an actual challenge that's not mandatory, but you can farm it for gear and transmog and different stuff. Mage Tower kind of vibe, right?
I'm wrong here.
I don't hope it's Torghast 2.0 lore core. I hope it's gonna be good.
Especially after playing the alpha. I wasn't 100% sold on the new Delve content when it was announced at BlizzCon. I assumed back then it would be very simple, easily outgearable content. But after getting my hands-on time in the alpha, I completely changed my mind. Now, for a detailed deep dive on Delves, check out the dedicated video live on this channel. But here's the gist. Delves are a new type of PvE content in WoW's The War Within expansion. They are designed for solo players or small groups of up to 4. As you explore the new continent, you will sometimes chance upon entrances to Delves. And Delves are scalable in difficulty, and you can select the difficulty levels and
all the way up to 13.
Rewards that correspond to them as you progress. You go into Delves for various different activities, from battling enemies, rescuing allies, to defeating bosses and discovering treasures. A unique feature is the follower system, specifically Brand Bronzebeard, who has his own talent trees and abilities that levels up as you progress through the delve and you earn follower XP. It lets him learn.
Yeah, so you can have him be a healer or a tank or a DPS, right? It's gonna be mandatory like Torghast was. I don't hope so, man. I hope it's more like focused on an actual challenge for like fun in that way. You know, get a little bit of gear if you want. You know, get some transmog, get some mounts, get some cosmetics, but don't make it like mandatory, man. Please.
Interrupts.
I think that's gonna be bad.
AOE DPS cooldowns, and you can even toggle amongst the other roles you don't play. For example, as a tank, that will be a healer or DPS. Now you might wonder, what's in it for me really as an endgame player? The answer,
that's good.
Really straightforward. Gearing your ults. As you progress on your main character, you will unlock higher tiers of delves and more importantly level up your follower. And this progress is applicable to the warband system. This is also echoed by Blizzard in a private Q&A. They mentioned that at the endgame, your follower could become very powerful, hard carrying your freshly minted ult to get starter ult gear in delves when you first start out. And from what we know, delves provide gear in two main ways. Number one, directly at the end of each delve run is a treasure chest. And while these gear rewards might not be top of the line, they offer fair compensation for starter gear.
Just something you can get into it with.
Complete the delves in 5 to 10 minutes.
They said in a talk with Nagura after +8 in delves is only for people that want to do hard content without rewards, and I hope it stays like that. I hope it's like a challenge, right, that you can do. As I said previously when we watched the other video about delving as well, there was a Twitter tweet from a developer that they've done some internal testing. They said that the 13th delve, which is the most difficult one, is essentially just one boss with mechanics and difficulty similar to what Mage Tower was. So I do hope that it's gonna be like really good, right? I mean, shit, dude, we'll see though, we'll see.
For endgame alt players, delves also contribute to your weekly vault.
It would be hot if it turns out like that.
The highest tier offering in delves actually gives rewards comparable to a M+5 in the new expansion, which is the same as doing a +15 key in the current Season 3 of Dragonflight. Blizzard designed delves not just for players gearing fresh ults, but also for those less interested in traditional endgame content like Mythic Plus raids or PvP. This approach gives players way more freedom in how they engage with WoW, as you're doing this PvE content in a judgment-free zone. Just you, your friends, and Brand Bronzebeard. Now, during our discussion, Blizzard also highlighted that delves would feature random changes in enemy and trap placements, keeping the content fresh as it scales.
When I did the delves, they were pretty much the same. I will say that, okay? Again, though, we are in alpha, but all the stuff were at the same place. Everything was located at the same areas, like with Bran and everything, but it's an alpha, right? But yeah.
With various zones, themes, and varying difficulty tiers, I do think delves turned out to be a great addition, especially for gearing fresh ults. It's an always-on catch-up mechanism in the future, and I intend to fully exploit it for my ults. Next up, the new Mythic Plus dungeons. Naturally, as a Mythic Plus enthusiast, I've already previewed the 8 new dungeons in a detailed video on this channel, link is in the description. but I'm impressed with Blizzard's response to community feedback on
This
the dungeon
dungeon is
bosses. 4 out of the 8 dungeons as of the private alpha now only features 3 bosses. Likely a nod to the unpopular tyrannical affix. It seems Blizzard acknowledges the dislike for tyrannical affixes on certain weeks, but they aren't quite ready to remove tyrannical entirely. So as a compromise, they're opting for fewer bosses overall. So half of the dungeons now only have 3 bosses. This change appears to be a direct response to player feedback about the length and taxing nature of the dungeons in Season 2 in Dragonflight Mythic Class, which could make completing a weekly key a chore. Now from what I've seen, the new dungeons are designed to be quicker, more streamlined, and way more snappy.
Dude, the dungeons that we did them on normal difficulty though, but they are really fast actually. They don't take that long at all to complete.
The Rookery is located right beside the brand new capital city. Talk about extreme convenience.
They're quite fast,
to get your weekly
which I like.
done. And visually, some of these dungeons are stunning, like those in Hallowfall, featuring a gorgeous skybox with a glow.
That does look good, man. Like having that like big crystal from the roof, and it looks nice.
Light source crystal that shifts between light and dark, reminiscent of a Naru. The purpose of this light source remains a mystery, and that's for you to find out for yourself in the new expansion. And aside from that, there's a variety of fresh visual themes, including a dungeon that transits from an airship to a ground-based combat within the same instance. These new elements suggest that Blizzard is actively experimenting with dungeon environments, and that only bodes well for people
on the
like me
PV
who
side
love
of
Mythic
stuff.
Plus.
Retail
Hero talents, yet another feature I was desperate to test on the private alpha.
This is cool, I think. Some sort of a more in-depth customization for your class. I think this is pretty freaking badass. You can play as a Slayer. You can play a warrior can be Slayer, and I think it was Thane, and then like a Colossus, I believe. And I think it's awesome having some sort of like a more talent specialization where you can like really define what you are and what you play, right?
And I can tell you they did.
We messed around a little bit with these, and I think they're cool.
Live up to the hype generated at BlizzCon. Now, big disclaimer, I think not all the hero talents are perfectly balanced. Some clearly need way more tuning and way more refinement. But hey, it's an alpha, and they successfully captured the essence of class expression, excitement, and freedom showcased during the BlizzCon debut. Hero talents in the War Within allows for seamless switching between hero talent choices at the click of a button.
Another talent tree. I think it's good that they're having some customization. It's obviously it's not good for new players, but I mean you can just literally just like do like a standard build or copy someone's build, but it's good having the customization there for it.
Really, I can explore different aspects of my class fantasy without incurring any cost. A massive leap from the restrictive covenant system we had back in Shadowlands, which often felt like I was being shackled by the jailer into specific choices. And now, I know the biggest concern about hero talents is whether Blizzard can balance them properly, considering that we had the big issue about covenant balancing in Shadowlands. However, Blizzard's handling of extensive talent trees revamp in Dragonflight gives me reasons to be optimistic. Despite the inherent challenges, the spread of spec DPS dispersion and output in raids have been more balanced than it has been for a long ass time. And yes, there will always be flavor of the month specs, no matter what. But Blizzard's quick response to feedback and adjustments during Dragonflight showed
new players, isn't that a myth anyway? Do they even exist in WoW? Honestly, true, man. Like, I mean, WoW is so cemented with the player base that they have at this point that it's so difficult to get new people into the game.
Commitment to balance and player satisfaction.
Very true.
Are there talent trees that need a lot more work from Dragonflight? Yes, but they are the minority. And from what I've seen in the alpha, the foundation for hero talents is solid. If Blizzard continues with diligent tuning and remains responsive to community feedback, especially those from the class forums, there's a strong potential for hero talents to be a highlight in the coming expansion.
It's really no small feat. I like some part of Shadowlands. I liked the Mythic Plus and stuff like that, but I didn't really care much for the world at all.
Tune the hero talents properly, but given their track record in the Dragonflight expansion, I'm hopeful that these new hero talents will be warmly received by the time launch day comes around. Next, let's talk about the story. As someone who usually focuses on Mythic Plus and the more sweaty aspects of WoW, it says a lot that I'm dedicating a segment of this video to the story of the War Within. I won't spoiler you with anything, but just know from the first zone that we got to test in the alpha build, there are already moments in the main story that made me do a double take, like, did I read that correctly? During a closed-door press Q&A with the Blizzard dev team, someone asked a question regarding the story, and Blizzard kept their lips sealed, almost in you will see sort of manner. And I can't wait to see everyone's reaction to certain developments. And this is in line with what Chris Madsen said at BlizzCon. Indeed, The War Within kicks off Blizzard's most ambitious storyline to date, and they wasted no time in showing you so. They're gripping threads to
I mean, a lot of shit is happening, right, in the story so far, obviously. T-Chris, thank you for the 13 months. I mean, I'm not gonna say too much about it. People wanna save themselves for that, right? But I like that it's more of like a... It's more of a simple story, man, than I feel like Dragonflight and all this shit, it was too extreme with all that. But we'll see how it goes down, obviously. I'm not a big lore nerd when it comes to retail WoW, but it does seem like an interesting enough story when I was questing and leveling in Dorne. Like, I could follow along and be completely fine with it, right? Shadowlands feels so disconnected for me. WoW is about a huge world, and then they have the loading screens between every zone in Shadowlands. Yeah, a little bit, right? Bibatilla, thank you for the 16 months. T-Crest, thank you for the 13 months.
Like Xalatath leading the Nerubians and a connection to being an old god. There's the mysterious zone of Holofall dominated by a massive Naru-like crystal that swaps between light and dark. A possible hint at the themes of the next expansion called Midnight, which revolves around the cosmic battle between light and void. And remember, these are just public details that we learned from BlizzCon. The alpha was packed with unexpected twists, and I'm just being careful here regarding spoilers. Reflect on the success of Wrath of the Lich King. It was successful because it hinged on the anticipation that was being built up. I mean, they had knowing that the Lich King will one day arrive ever since WoW Classic. So when the famous Wrath trailer finally dropped, it set the internet on fire. And The War Within aims to capture that type of excitement, setting the stage for a 3-expansion saga similar to the arc of WoW Classic, TBC, and then Wrath. And from what I've seen from the first few quests in the alpha, we are in for a thrilling start, and I can't wait to see your community reaction when the story unfolds. The next thing to cover is not really a feature, but it's a commitment. Blizzard continues to listen. And this commitment to listening to player feedback is clearly evident in the recent Dragonflight expansion, which is often seen as a healing expansion due to its responsive development approach. This time around, they're really listening, and not just listening, taking action. My time on the alpha and private Q&A showed me that Blizzard is doubling down on this player-focused approach. Here's a few improvements that is highlight-worthy. The first is NPC work orders. They recognize the frustration of players in Dragonflight struggling to find crafters during off-peak hours in Dragonflight, where you just wanted to fulfill a very basic work order.
Oh yeah, they got those work orders that were like standardized, right? This time they're listening. I mean, I will say, man, when it comes to the classic side of things, I mean, they've been pretty good at listening to the community, man, okay?
So, in the War Within,
you gotta give them credit where credit is due at the very least.
Blizzard is introducing NPC systems to handle work orders in the new continent, which means no matter when you play, you potentially can get your items crafted by NPCs, instead of waiting for actual human beings to respond to your trade chat. Then they also have revamped mount animations. After the positive reactions to the new dragon riding animations, Blizzard has gone back to the old world to update the animations for older mounts. For example, Mimi Ron's head now features a new open and closed mouth animation while flying. And this wasn't necessary, but it's a welcome nod to enhancing the player experience even with older content. Now, I don't have footage here, but it's something
like the way he said that. It just made me look kind of happy.
But in the closed-door press event. But you can definitely try it out for yourself when you get hold of The War Within. Other mounts will also be undergoing similar treatment from what we learned. Next is UI overhauls. Blizzard continues to refine the user interface that started from Dragonflight. With The War Within, there's brand new quest icons now to differentiate between profession tasks, main campaign stories, optional side quests, even flight masters have brand new icons. And these changes might seem minor, but they're part of Blizzard's commitment to lay a solid foundation for the game's futures in the many years to come. Even something as simple as the way they render water. There's been a technical upgrade. In the new expansion first zone that we got to test, Blizzard's devs told us that if you observe how the waves actually hits the shore, it reveals a brand new level of realism, coupled with enhanced physics for water. Man, I don't know, dude. I always turn out the classic water anyway. Alright, yeah, that is what I do. These are things that doesn't bring Blizzard more dollars in their pockets. It's
I just turn on the classic water,
note, Blizzard also mentioned to the creators in a Q&A that they're even exploring new methods to distribute tier sets more freely, further beyond than what they already offer in Dragonflight. And these changes, while some might seem trivial, not even mentioned on the press release, collectively they affirm Blizzard's new renewed focus on enhancing player satisfaction and game quality. It's clear they're investing in both major features, like the warbands and the delves, but also at the same time subtle refinements to ensure that WoW
keep the
remains
core gameplay
engaging
good.
and responsive to its community's wishes and feedback. Now, playing the War Within Alpha was a homecoming moment for me. And I
Okay.
think it's largely because of my feelings towards the new expansion coming from Dragonflight
He's
as
hyped.
compared to stepping into Dragonflight after Shadowlands. Shadowlands left many of us disappointed and shattered. It's no secret. Dragonflight was always perceived
I
again.
think for me, Shadowlands was not the most fun. Dragonflight was a step in a better direction, and it seems like they're if they can keep that going, then it's getting, I mean, hopefully better and better.
And as a healing expansion, almost a reset where a lot of people watched.
You didn't even play Dragonflight? Well, that's because I got very, very into playing hardcore classic WoW, but I actually quite liked the raids in Dragonflight. I didn't really care for the story at all. I'm not gonna lie. The story felt way too, oh, we're all good friends. Oh, let's save the trees and happiness and joy. I didn't really like that. Didn't really care for that whatsoever. But I actually quite enjoyed the gameplay. I just played different games because I thought that hardcore and stuff was more fun for me, right?
The sidelines as Blizzard focused on correcting course,
yeah.
rebuilding game fundamentals for a solid future. They completely nuked borrowed power systems, a major player complaint since we started doing island expeditions in battle for Azeroth. And their commitment in Dragonflight was evident. I've been playing Mythic Plus at the level I want without mandatory maintenance time or repeatable world quest. During the private Q&A, Blizzard again reiterated their departure from the old grind systems of player power, confirming their new approach is here to stay. Their responsiveness was further demonstrated in how they revamped the talent trees and class designs during Dragonflight. While some specs are better than the others, the overall improvements from Shadowland was notable. And this is best reflected in the subscriber growth discussed at GDC 2024. We have come...
Okay, I will say though, man, okay, I'm gonna keep it a $150 here, guys, okay? Classic has pretty hard carried the subscriber count, okay? I'm gonna keep it real here, dude. Classic came in and freaking carried that son of a gun, okay? But hopefully War Within gets, I think retail gets better and better.
Such a long way since the disappointing Shadowlands expansion. And this brings us to the War Within, potentially the most crucial expansion in modern retail WoW. Dragonflight allowed Blizzard to stabilize and return to basics effectively, setting the stage for the team to unleash their creativity in the War Within. And if you look back at the most successful expansions, Legion with its artifact weapons, Class Order Halls, Mage Tower, Wrath of the Lich King with memorable raids like Udwa ICC, MOP with challenge modes, it's clear that standout features are what defines great expansions. And based on everything I've covered in this video, I think you probably see why I say that WoW is back and it's so bloody glorious to see it back. The War Within builds on solid foundation laid by Dragonflight, which itself corrected course from the wreckage of Shadowlands, and now WoW is truly ready to soar into a brand new era. And as Magni Bronzebeard would proudly say, we have repaired the wounds of Azeroth, and now let's journey within. A brand new era awaits, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this honest take of mine on the War Within closed alpha, and if you want to stay tuned to more developments related to the expansion, I got your back. More exclusive alpha and beta coverage on this new expansion coming your way on this channel, so make sure to hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more. A huge shout out to Blizzard for including me in the private alpha. I'm eternally grateful. And speaking of shoutouts, a big thank you to all the Patreon subscribers that you see on screen. Thank you for making this channel possible, and if you'd like to support us, the link to our Patreon is in the description below. A friendly reminder, the link to the playlist in the middle of the screen is to that of all my The War Within alpha coverage, and they're all already live, from the 8 new dungeons to the new raids to the new zone, the new capital city, the delves. Everything is live on this channel. Check it out, and I'll see you in the next video.
Honestly, man, I mean, good video, obviously. Again, though, yeah, if you are a classic WoW player, if you're like, you know, you play SOD, you play Vanilla Era, you play, you know, Wrath and stuff, this might still not be the thing for you. But for the people that do enjoy current expansions and current WoW, I think it's looking like it's a step in a better direction, and it's gonna be better. I have high hopes for Delves. I really hope they turn out great. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, we'll see.